but one of the things Rick and I chatted about on, an organic lead generation is this higher quality lead, right? Number 5. It's a much higher quality lead. It's coming from somebody that you've nurtured, that you've worked with, that's getting to know, like, and trust you, right? There's a handful of benefits here. Like, of course, the cost benefit, right? There is no cost to this other than our time. There is a cost to our time. There's a cost to our team. So let's not, kid ourselves that there's $0 here. There is cost to how our time is used, right? But the whole build, the B number 2 is probably one of the biggest in organic lead generation, is building credibility and trust, right? This is long-term results. This is about that machine again. Remember, we talked about building the acquisition machine. Brand awareness, better engagement and relationships, I think, is huge. Sometimes we get this, what we call ad fatigue, where the ad just kind of runs out after a while. If we have an ad that's running, it has to be regenerated constantly to be refreshed. And of course, the data insights we get from organic lead generation. So that we should not spend any ad money until we get our acquisition machine right. Right? Now, why is that? The acquisition machine, if it's right, we can actually spend dollars and not have them just pissed away. Because if we don't have the machine right, we're not going to close the deals.
Yeah, Randy, another way to look at that is that you have to have proof of concept first. So in other words, if you're going to build a client acquisition machine, let's just say, you get a lot of this too, where I talk to a lot of builders and say, well, I'm running ads on Facebook, I'm running ads on Google AdWords, or wherever it is. And so you're dropping, realistically, you're going to drop somewhere between $2 to maybe $5 grand a month, if you're really going to do ads right. Well, if you're generating a bunch of traffic to come to a client acquisition machine that doesn't capture leads, what's the point? You just pissed away all that money and you've lost all that time and energy. Whereas you could have, if you would have had the system built correctly, then you generate it, you test everything, make sure you have proof of concept. And once you've confirmed you got proof of concept, now you can throw gas on the fire. And then you hit that glass ceiling where it's inconsistent leads. And the next thing you think of, okay, well, now I got to start running ads. Well, it's a whole different pipeline. It's a whole different process. So if you have a good, healthy client acquisition system that is focusing on both inbound organic traffic, which is what we're talking about today. So what you talked about, Jonathan, is like, if I'm going to go out and try to find a new client, what's easier to find? Me just going out into, putting up a billboard, next to a freeway and saying, hey, we build homes, we remodel homes. And then you hope somebody, you're throwing mud at the wall and you hope it sticks. Or you develop an acquisition system where people are actively looking for your services in your locale. And if they see you and they trust you and they believe that you can produce the type of project that they're interested in, your conversion rates go through the roof. Much, much higher conversions, much lower cost of lead acquisition overall. So
the quality of the lead is a better quality lead. It's
not only a better quality converting lead, it's a lead that's more likely to refer you in the end too.
Yeah.
So it's a two-faced benefit to finding those type of people versus a paid ad.
Agree with everything you say, Rick.
Yeah, they're trying to people shop online by a process of exclusion. So they might look at 10, 15. One of my clients told me that guy he looked at 30 different builders. So they don't want to talk to 30 builders. They're going to look at 30 builders. They're trying to exclude you. And then you want to be the one that outlasts that and gets on the short list where you get to have the conversation.
Number 3 here, creating high quality content, right? And when we're talking high quality, we really want to go above and beyond with our photo and video content, right? Especially if we are a high quality, high level builder, our content should look the same. Our content should represent that, right? Otherwise, you really put yourself into a position of, that exclusion, right? Being excluded out because your content might suck. And therefore, I'm not trusting you can do this. You want to get more engagement, got to, get your team, yourself out there.
Has anyone tried, I guess one question I put out there, Randy, has anyone tried surveys?
That's what I was just going to say. So what I like to do is I always ask for help because I think people are naturally going to help. So even if I don't have a client, I'll put up and say, I have Mr. Jones that wants to build green cabinets in his countertop, but he's confused as to which backsplash. And I'll put like 3 different backsplashes and ask them to vote on the backsplash. And then they think they're helping this home buyer, and it just creates a lot more engagement that way.
It's great.
So the reason those are important, Susan, that's a great example. It's like, what would you do? Get someone's opinion. What you're doing there is you're actually gaming the algorithm. Because as soon as you get all that engagement from that survey, all they have to do is answer it. The system says, oh, look at this particular post now is getting a lot of engagement. So now they're going to start ranking your stuff higher because more and more people are engaging with it. So surveys are a great way to mess with the algorithm and get your stuff to come up higher. And using a photo and saying, what would you do? What do you think? Leave a comment below is a good one to do on surveys as well.
Do you ever do love or like posts where you do 2 pictures and just tell them to love or like which, to choose one? I know they used to work back in the day. I stopped using them. I don't know if they still do.
I would say there's no wrong thing, Susan, is you just have to test stuff and see if it's worked for you, keep doing it, and if it's not working, try something different. But one thing with surveys is you don't necessarily have to use a photo. So I would test both. What do you think of this? And do something too. Don't do it, make it salesy. Like, are you considering remodeling your home in the next 12 months? Don't do something like that, but do like what you said. Which color backsplash would you use? Or if you were to build a home, what's your favorite architectural style? And put 3 styles on there, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and if you have a good relationship with your client, you'd be surprised. They'll actually ask in the video. They get better results than any of them. Whereas I'll be in the design center with someone and they'll hold up, this is the cabinet I want. Which one would you choose? So just like in a little quick video, they get a lot of results too. I think whenever you ask anybody for help, they just automatically help. Which is
a great takeaway.
Really unrelated to building too. Can be, what's your favorite holiday? I mean, something as simple as that. So you don't have to outthink this either. You're just looking for engagement.
And some of the things that we probably need to be doing as well is, if we don't, we can't improve what we don't measure, right? So we should be measuring our engagement, tracking our engagement, right? What is getting the most engagement? How often are we getting that? What is our highest? So I think that our metrics, right? Think about metrics in our business. We talked about scoreboarding all the time. What are we tracking and engagement, track engagement across different platforms. It's extremely powerful.
What Google's looking for more again today is ingestible, authoritative content. And if a blog is not getting read, it's not like you can just add pages to your website and it's going to help you. You focus more on services and locations. And if you're going to create content on your website, but that is more for algorithms versus your leads. Your leads are not going to go through those pages, but the search engine indexes will like them.
okay.
Again, I hope you guys were taking some notes here, because this is extremely important to the actions we take moving forward and what we do in our business tomorrow, right? The changes that we should be making, what should we be focused on, right? So this is it's pretty critical. We'll keep moving here. Number 5, listed on online directories. Again, Rick, you and I chatted about this and why this is so important. But again, it's to get that SEO and having Google seeing us across these various directories with identical way that we are listed. Rick, that's I think a critical point, correct?
Yeah. So part of your foundational search engine optimization is creating an authority basement, if you will. So a lot of times as we're building our businesses, we might have different addresses. Maybe we change phone numbers, contact information changes, and all this stuff, it gets indexed out there. And when that is inconsistent, again, the Google machine, which is 92% of the search engine market, which is essentially everyone, looks at that, and if there's inconsistencies there, they're gonna remove your authority. They're gonna mark you lower. So this is called citations. And one of the things that we recommend that every builder goes through is probably a 3 or 4 month period where you're using a citation building. In other words, you have one address, one phone number, one contact person, one business name that's consistent, and you get it listed into multiple, and I'm talking dozens. You're not going to do this manually, of different directories, so that after a 4 month period of time, everything is consistent. And then what will happen is that yes, you are going to be raised up in Google's eyes, because your authority is going to be raised up. Everything is consistent. So you got to get rid of those inconsistencies, which is why you do this.
So do you recommend, so I know businesses that use Yext, is there one that you recommend to use to get?
Yext is the one that we use too.
Okay.
And Yext, YEXT.
Yep, it's a good service. It's the beautiful thing is this is the most inexpensive thing you will do from search engine optimization, and also going to make a huge impact.
And we always get asked about how do we generate more leads without spending dollars? Here it is.
And I guess I'm going to lump reviews into this.
Yeah, sure.
So the most important one you're going to get is your Google business profile review. That's going to be seen by more people, even if they don't reach your website, than anyone else. So that is the most important one. The minimum goal there is 10 5-star reviews. when you put reviews on your website, this is the cardinal sin I see a lot of builders making, is that
Yeah.
they will put all the reviews in one section. So then what happens is that I go in and I look at the analytics on their website and nobody goes to that section. So when you put reviews on your website, you identify the top 5 most visited pages by your leads, and you're going to sprinkle the reviews in there. Now, if you really want to, make this thing pop, is that you take your Google business reviews and then you take that Google symbol and put it on your top 5 most visited pages. So then people are seeing a third-party trust factor like a Google review on those pages. That's going to build a lot of confidence and trust in you, and is probably even as powerful as, say, a video testimonial. So put them on the most visited pages. Don't create a separate testimonial section on your website.
Yeah, gem, absolute gem takeaway. Got to be done. Talk about the referral network here, but we're also really talking about a referral system, and having that full-on referral system, I think, is so important. And something, actually, I think Chantel Ballantyne was the first to kind of suggest Lacorum to us. I'm going to play a short video. I think it's about 1.5 to 2 minutes about Lacorum. This is a referral system. They have a program here. I think it's extremely cool. Rick is in the process of, Rick, you're looking to partner with Lacorum as well in working with them in some regard?
Yeah, we're looking at from 2 standpoints, not only referrals, but also reviews. And using their digital wallet to be able to set up contests for reviews, as well as reward people when they send in a referral that buys. But the referral network, if you're going to go get realtors and architects and interior designers and all that, if you're targeting realtors, which even if you're a remodeler, you should be targeting realtors. A lot of remodelers they don't even think about realtors. But I can't tell you how many times realtors will go out and show a home. There's limited inventory out there, and that home needs a kitchen, or it needs an addition, or needs something. And if they had a remodeler partner, they would call you up and say, hey, can you come out and take a look at this home, meet with the client, and give them ideas? And obviously, you can get your foot in the door, remodel the home. And the most beautiful part is you might be able to do it when it's vacant before they move in. So you don't have to be worried about that. The other thing that's brand new, at least in the States, I don't know about Canada, Randy, but in the States, the commissions that buyers agents are able to obtain from sellers, that just changed 2 weeks ago. No longer in the MLS can a selling agent advertise a buyer's agent commission. So now what it means is that if I'm a realtor and I want to go sell a home, I have to one by one find out if the seller of that home was willing to pay a commission. Is that me or somebody else? But builders have a real opportunity right now, I think, to network with realtors and let them know, like, hey, we're going to cooperate with you, and you can have one phone call to me, and I can build on any lot you want or the lots you have. And there's really there's a wide open market right now for builders and realtors to partner together.
Can I share with you a cheat on that?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so if you have a realtor that's a friend, ask them to pull out the best properties where you think your homes will appraise. If you're a home builder, have them pull out the best properties and just contact those realtors, because you'll find that those are the ones that are always getting. And then let them know that you're you love realtors and that you offer compensation, and then just send them out information about the builder, because then you're not getting all the little guys, because what they're predicting with what you're talking about, Rick, with the commissions, is we're going to lose 2/3 of the agents anyway, because they're going to have to sell themselves, which a lot of people can't do. So just get the ones that, get a list of all the ones that have the best pieces of property, and that's what you would focus on.
Randy, one more thing on webinars.
Yeah.
If your target market does not live in your local area,
go ahead.
definitely try webinars. So I was thinking like Jeff and Chantel, you guys are more of a vacation market. Webinars are probably going to be something that you may want to try, versus if your target market is locals already living in your market, then I would focus more on on-site events.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chantel, Jeff, you guys did a webinar recently, and I believe you did you not get 1 or 2 that said they wouldn't be able to make it, but they wanted to get in touch?
Yeah, they did. They wanted the recording, and a prospect also attended, and we're still in talks with him to build for him. So
I mean, there you go, right?
So
like, and it's inexpensive. It's very little, it's just some time and effort. And then once you get it created and you build out, a slide deck, and you've got some content created, you can do it again and again. All right. So I love that.
You record that webinar and cut it into shorts and post it on your social media for the next year. You can take 1 or 2 minute clips from that webinar and it's great content that you can repurpose.
Hey,
Cool.
there's another gem.
Smart.
Yeah, awesome.
2 quick things here, Randy. Number 1, never host the video on your website. And number 2, this is where YouTube comes into place, because when you post that video on YouTube, then you can embed it on your, I don't recommend embedding the video on YouTube on your website. I recommend using a different video player. But with YouTube, now you have a description. Now you can optimize the title of your video as well as the description with a backlink to your website, and that's going to help you with your search engine optimization too. And
So
what videos do get indexed?
What are you suggesting?
I like video. For the reason I don't like putting YouTube videos, embedding them on my website, is because as soon as that video is done playing, it's going to recommend other videos. You click on that, it takes you off your website.
Right.
So I recommend Vimeo. They have a business hosting for videos, and it's just going to play the video. It's a great server, so you're not going to have any issues with downtime, and it's not going to slow down your website page load speed.
Gem.
So email, as I say, I think the issue with email right now is that there's an over reliance on it for marketing. What we have found is that email is not your primary driver anymore. It's a secondary driver. Where it's primarily used for is if you need to convey a lot of information, you get it on an email. And then follow that up with a voicemail drop or a text message to say, hey, I just sent you an email. If you don't see it, check your spam or junk folder. And if you're trying to send links and all that, it's even more difficult to get emails through. So there's still a ton of ways for it. It can still be effective. It just shouldn't be your primary means of market anymore because of all the issues with trying to get it delivered and opened.
So do you recommend calling rather than emailing, or both?
I like to do all 3, Jonathan. So like a typical campaign for us is that somebody requests information, send the email first. A minute later, we followed it up with a text message to say, we sent you the information, check your spam or junk if you don't see it. And then maybe 24 hours later, we'll do a voicemail drop, So again, so it looks like they missed a phone call from us. And we, if you don't have a ton of leads, you can follow it up with a personal phone call too. But more often than not, you will find that people did not receive the information via email for a multitude of reasons.
Sure.
And I think, email today is still, fabulous for nurturing, right? That relationship that people are already engaged, want your content and information. They're in your world and appreciate you, right?
Yeah. If you're going to do, I don't want to get too in the weeds here because I think we did about a month ago on emails, but you have to be really careful that your list is engaged. Because if you continue to email your list and they're not engaged, you have a much higher probability of getting on a blacklist. And once you're on a blacklist, you're screwed. It's game over. You got to start over. You got to switch servers, get a new IP address. It's a real mess. So you have to be measuring engagement. And then those people that are not engaging, you put them into a cooling off period, then put them into a re-engagement campaign, try to get them back on again. And again, that's where text messaging and voicemails and phone calls come into play. So doing a campaign for reviews where you have a contest and you give away maybe 1, 2, or 3 prizes, where you give someone a limited time frame to leave you a review. And then when they do leave you a review, the more channels they leave that review on, the more contest entries they get. So I was telling Randy, I said we did this back in 2019, where we built a widget. And the first thing we did is we asked the lead or the client, I think it was a client, to leave a review. And we would then first vet the review. So we had them rate the builder. And if they rated the builder a 3 stars or below, we kept that internal. And we did not give them any links to go post that online. If it was 4 or 5 stars, then what we did is we say, hey, here's your review. Click here to copy. Here's a link for Google My Business Profile. Here's a link for Houzz, Facebook, Yelp, whatever it was. The more times you leave that review, the more contest entries that you will get. And it was a nice prize. I want to say it was like a weekend bed and breakfast type of thing. And we did a campaign where over a period of about 30 days, we consistently emailed, consistently sent text messages. And then we had the sales team, they would call people to leave reviews. Now, we also had some people that left a review on our widget, but they didn't follow through with posting it online. So then we would actually call those people up and say, hey, by the way, the contest is ending. Make sure you get this done. Do you want me to send you the links again in your review? And so we had the ability to do that. And we ended up collecting, I think, with a list of about 1,000. I think it was north of 30 reviews. There was probably 4 or 5 that were people that were not happy with the builder, but we kept them off. And that builder's, we raised his average score. I think he was maybe in the mid to upper 3s. We raised it to to the mid to maybe 4.3, 4.4 reviews. And so we were able to raise that up. And then the other important thing we did is that if you have a negative review on your Google business profile, and I've had clients that said, you know what, I never did business with this person, but Google won't remove it. So you've got this 1-star review sitting there that people see right away. Well, when you do a contest, you dump all those reviews in on top of it, it buries those bad reviews. And typically they're not seen and then they're kind of forgotten about. So it's very, very, it's a great way to actually get reviews, and you can do it once or twice a year. Take a picture of the winner, put it on your social media, make a big deal out of it, and you can have a lot of fun with it.
Networking groups in your local area, that if you're a part of those groups, I think, is it Neighbor, that app as well? People have had some success with that. It's, maybe a little weak, but it does generate some quick wins. But I think, yeah, some Facebook groups, definitely LinkedIn in terms of, higher net worth, connecting with some higher net worth individuals, doctors, lawyers, entrepreneurs that have some money. Connecting with them on LinkedIn doesn't hurt either, to start developing relationships with. That can work as well. A handful of our client base that have done trade shows with some varying degrees of success. I would say, if nothing else, we're always leaving with a number of new relationships, new opportunities. It's depending on where they are in the pipeline, right? Are they top of funnel or bottom of funnel? So the trade shows. Rick, what's your take on trade shows?
I found smaller markets, they're more impactful than the larger markets. And the other thing that look at a trade show is it's treated, again, just like an event, is it's another way to re-engage your cold and aging leads. And you can use an incentive. We're going to be at such and such a booth this weekend at the trade show, and everyone that stops by the booth will get this. Again, that certificate is like for design, or it's for, if you're doing kitchens, we used to give away a free sink, sort of thing. But then they had to sign a contract with such and such a time. So that's the type of thing I think trade shows are probably best used for, is not necessarily getting a bunch of new leads, because I think there's a little bit too high of expectations put on a trade show. But it's really to use it to re-engage your existing database, people that are already aware of you, get them to come out. And especially if you're doing renovations and you're in a smaller market and there's a trade show, or excuse me, a home show that is quite popular in your community, you using that as a reason to get back in front of your customer, because they want to come out and see all the latest and greatest. And that way you can hopefully re-engage them and maybe get that second or third.
I don't know where everybody is, but there are certain professional organizations, like we joined about a year ago, something called CAI, and I think it's available in every state. I don't know about Canada. That has all the homeowners associations and things like that. And they have different events, and they have a show once a year, and parties, and whatever, mixers and all of that kind of thing. I actually spoke at one of these events. I just find it's if in your state, if they have a CAI, it's a really fabulous way to open up doors to real nice size institutional clients with potentially very robust projects. So I think that's a really fabulous idea, whether it's CAI or any other professional organization. I think that those are the sort of things that can really drive business that from like-minded people.
I have something that has been working for me, and I never realized it, but if you have like a local magazine, they look for guest writers. So like I just actually wrote a 2-page column on the new trends in new construction. But if you contact local magazines, you'd be surprised. A lot of times they need content. So that's a good way to get you out in the industry as an expert. I definitely recommend it. They'll edit it, they'll help you with it, but I'm very well known because of this little magazine. It's specific to our area. So that's something I would recommend looking into.
And just to continue Susan's point, like our personal thing, like I've written articles that go out into the professional organization, their news, their newsletter that comes out, I don't know, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, or whatever the heck it is. And again, it wasn't an advertisement for our company. It was just setting us up as an expert, like Susan said. And, so now people read this and go, these guys may be a good resource for what we're looking to do. And it gets out to a lot of people.
Know, like, and trust. You can also, I just kind of thinking out loud here is taking that article and, sending that, re-engaging our list. Hey, maybe you didn't see this or need to see this article we wrote recently in X, right? So let's use that, reuse the content. I mean, Rick talked about reusing webinar content before and chopping that into pieces, right? So any content that we're putting out, let's chop it down and look at ways to reuse that as well. But yeah, great tip, Susan, honestly.
So my recommendation is start with your B2B first. Focus on B2B and develop those networking relationships. The hardest part of that is making the connections. And so the easiest way to get in front of an architect or get in front of a realtor that's doing a lot of business that might have buyers for you is to offer them something first. You got to tune into their favorite radio station. What's in it for me? And so if I contact an architect, say, look, you know what, if I have people that want to design this type of home or project, could I bring them to you? No architect's going to say no. And so that's your foot in the door, is you offer to bring them there first. Same thing if I'm reaching out to real estate agents. Hey, if someone comes to me and they want to build a home, but they need someone to help sell their home, would you be available to take their listing? Of course they will. So you start with that, build those relationships first. And of course, once you get into it, talk about how you can work those reciprocal relationships. So, and that's just like day in, day out, make those networking calls and lunch once a month, whatever. When I was coaching salespeople, we had a top 10 realtor list, and then we had everybody else. So we had 10 real estate agents that in that local market that were actively selling our product type, our price point, and our place or our service area. And each realtor or each salesperson was in charge of touching base with that realtor once per month. There was only 10, so it was very doable. 3 a week, and you're good. From there, I would move into doing the free stuff online. So optimize your Google business profile, optimize your Facebook, Instagram pages, get a YouTube channel set up, make sure you have the descriptions on there, backlink it to your website, do all the free stuff there, and then work your way into the things that are, again, are a little bit more, not only complicated, but they're more time intensive, and also where you're going to have to start investing some money. So you at least have something established on the B2B side first, hopefully getting some basic website opportunities on some of the free stuff. And then you can move into search engine optimization and getting your website built correctly, and then ultimately, maybe paid ads.
Yeah, and again, let's go back to the fact that let's not be running paid ads, or let's stop running paid ads. If we don't have the foundation right, then we're just bleeding, leads and opportunities. Right? Like, really, let's use our money effectively. Yeah, that's excellent session. Lots of really key takeaways. I think we should kind of wrap up with key takeaways as well. And make sure that we cover off what are we leaving with. There was a hell of a lot of great content there.
I'm just going to share just 2 key takeaways. I think the video is solid.
Right.
And,
yeah.
I mean, I think it's hard for most of us to do video, but it gets so much attention. You're right about TikTok and Reels on Instagram. It's what everybody wants to see, and really can't echo enough the networking piece and leaning into realtors. I did that. On my personal side, I leaned into a realtor group, and on my way home to the home office for this call, I got a call from my realtor who's got 3 different leads for me, and this is just in 1 week time. Wow. So it's incredible what you can create with some of these networks, and it doesn't always happen overnight, right? So it's been 9 months of meeting realtors for lunch, telling them who I am, what I'm doing, and I finally landed the right one, and now it's like, shit, the sky's the limit. And there were plenty of times I was like, well, that was a waste of time.
Right.
But, you go in there with the right attitude, you just don't know what's going to come of these things.
We have a client who actually targeted architects and realtors for this quarter, for the last 90 days. And they created a couple of marketing pieces, like a brochure to attract architects that was like, here's how we can help you. It came across very like, we can solve your problems of working with a builder, et cetera, et cetera. They did this. They made the goal to contact 2 architects a week and 2 realtors a week, and I believe 2 designers a week. I reached out to them. I talked to them, I don't know, last week or the week before about whether or not they were actually meeting those goals. And they are seeing an immense influx of business right now from architects and realtors that they hadn't anticipated being good connections for them. They were people that they felt like were on the fringe of their industry or their network. And they thought, well, heck, I've got to meet my goals. So I'm going to reach out to these people, share with them some information about our company. And what they found was those guys were really excited to work with them, and they were happy to see that they knew what they were talking about. So this absolutely works. I just wanted to share a real life experience from one of our current clients that's actually doing it this quarter and seeing a lot of really exciting results.
You ever heard of there's a position out there that builders employ called the online concierge. So a lot of bigger builders have it. And the idea is that if you're a lead and you're engaging on a website, is that you would be able to have a live chat and go through that. And when we did this beta test with AI, one of the things we noticed is that we would get an engagement on the AI, like say on a Monday. And then the lead would leave, and then they would come back Thursday, and they would re-engage, and then they would leave, and they came back the next week. Well, we had one we saw came back 3 times over like a 2-week period, ended up getting the lead, ended up booking the appointment, and now they're in the sales process. And so it's just one of those things, like you just never know when somebody is ready to engage you. And I think speaking of specifically with networking, I think a lot of times builder things like, oh, so and so realtor or architect already has a plethora of builders. They really don't.
Mm.
They really don't. And because a lot of builders just don't make the effort. So just showing up and making the effort and having the ability, you know, like for this AI test, we just had the ability for a lead to ask a question 24/7 and get a good answer. And, you know, we were amazed at how many people will engage you just by having the ability to be engaged. And so I was telling Randy, I said, you know, online concierge, probably within 2 years, there will not be a human online concierge anymore. And the exciting thing about this is now with AI is that any builder doing 500,000 or $1 million a year, you can have the same sort of great experience as Lennar or DR Horton has with a live person. Sometimes it's even better because the AI remembers conversations and can go back and draw on them. So you just got to show up. You just got to put your hat in the ring and just keep grinding. And it's amazing that how many people are out there that have questions and they're just looking for a local resource. If you can be that local resource, you will get a client just by being available.
I remember when I first set up my YouTube account and started like transferring stuff over there, I had like 2 or 3 videos that over a weekend got 1,000 views. So if you can post like educational stuff on there, especially, I feel like those were the highest performing, you know, simple things as counter height. You know, what should a bar height countertop be? And those get great reviews, just simple stuff like that.
Yeah, we have to remember that the general public or audience doesn't know what you know, right? And they want to know these things, right? But we kind of tend to forget like the simple things we take for granted that we just know, they don't, right? So when you're sharing, you know, we have to almost kind of come down to some basics. And the difference between I love this is the difference between sales and marketing is everything you do to get in front of a client. And sales, everything you do once you're in front of a client, right? So it's kind of an interesting, simple twist that I heard from Joe Polish years back that I just thought the clarity of that is very cool. So, you know, organic lead generation, we don't need to spend a ton of dollars to generate our leads, and we shouldn't be spending dollars if we're not dialed in on the foundational pieces. So maybe today, a takeaway for me is let's stop spending the money that we shouldn't spend if we're not dialed in yet,